On the 2nd of December, Chanel showed their 2026 Métiers d'Art show at the disused Bowery train station, a subway stop, and the models were there commuting, reading the paper, waiting for the train, all sorts of things that you might see on the subway now, amongst many, many, many other things. Now, Métiers d'Art is almost a step down from couture. No other house really does this except for Chanel, and this is a way for them to sort of demonstrate the abilities of all of the various ateliers they have, right? This is Matthieu Blazy's second collection for the brand, since he's now been creative director. So there's a lot of eyes on this, and there is a lot to talk about. I wanted to give us a little bit of a deep dive, give us context, stories where I know them, details where I know them, what I generally think of the bags, accessories, all of that. Guys, if you're new here, my name is Cassie and I'm a self-diagnosed luxury addict. I put out videos on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, so if you like luxury fashion, then you're probably gonna love it here. So head down there, subscribe, turn on the bell, become a member of our luxury addicted family. When are we going to rehab? Never. I also have a Substack that will be linked below. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to walk us through some of the context, call out some immediate thoughts, but also little bits of references that I think may have been very easily missed. And listen, this is all I could find now, a couple of days out. I'm sure that there's lots that I have missed, but this is just what I could find. What I sort of wanted to mention about this is that there are many, many characters. I find it very interesting that he's done this. Obviously we have Demna at Gucci that's done something very similar. But what it does do is that it can go one of two ways. It can either make you see, oh, there's something for everybody, right? Or I relate to this character in particular, I relate to this one. Or it can make it feel really fragmented and no cohesive story. So you can either see it as there are many Chanel girls, or I don't understand who the Chanel girl is, right? So let me know which sort of school of thought you might be in. I mean, we're definitely seeing wearable pieces. We've got the quarter zip, we've got a t-shirt, we've got jeans, and then you have something that feels very quintessentially Chanel. You know, it's a little black dress, you have the black toe cap slingbacks and a classic flap. The leopard print. Loads of people were like, the leopard print isn't really Chanel, blah, blah. Apparently, this is also a reference towards certain prominent women in the past wearing Chanel. So Barbara Streisand wore a leopard print Chanel suit to one of the shows. We're seeing those sort of like very classic Chanel moments, but we're seeing there's a lot of wearability. There's a lot of the modern Chanel woman who is taking the subway, is going to work, is wearing jeans, is just wanting, let me just throw on a leather trench, and it just happens to be Chanel. Then you have this sort of more glamorous Hollywood that we'll go back to. I'll tell you why Hollywood is like a part of this. This actually is a reference to a Diana Vreeland outfit, ex-editor-in-chief of Vogue back in the 80s, I want to say. But there's a lot of variety. Okay, there's a lot of like, this feels like 80s, it feels like Fran Fine. This actually felt very Balenciaga. This was a very sad little sack of a dress for me there. Jury is out on what print this is. This to me looks like an eel. It also looks like a poisonous frog. I actually really like the cut of it. Maybe less so the pattern, but I will it'll stop you in your track. You're not getting run over that day, I'll tell you that now. This whole denim set is actually silk. Matthieu Blazy, one thing that he did very well at Bottega is this trompe-l'oeil, is making something look like it's something, but not in the fabric that you would expect. So in this case, this is all silk, and it's obviously, you have all of this embroidery and embellishment. That t-shirt is going to do particularly well. The I Heart NY all sequin t-shirt, as we know, this whole collection is based on New York, right? So there's a load of those influences, but something as typical as an I Heart New York t-shirt done by Chanel in sequins, people are absolutely going to foam at the mouth over it. You have leather pieces, which I really don't associate with Chanel all that much, but this leather jacket was great. The tulip skirts were fantastic. Again, I mean, this is a leopard print, it's the way it flowed, all of that. The pairing of something very simple like a turtleneck with this, they've done it so that it feels very, wear this to, you know, a exhibition opening at the Met. You could also wear this apparently waiting for a train on the subway. These were great. These two were my favourite looks out of the whole collection. This, I mean, I don't know where we're going here. I don't know what that is. What is the ladybird? I wonder what the fascination is with ladybirds we've got, because we're also seeing that at Jonathan Anderson's Dior. Anyway, again, the quarter zip. This skirt is actually an upside down version of the New York skyline with skyscrapers and whatnot. This felt very first collection to me. Cat hats. This outfit is sort of inspired by Clark Kent of Superman fame. You have the Chanel Superwoman knit there underneath all of the clothes, much like the character. I'm going to get into why this sort of feels a bit costuming, all right? But I just wanted to show us and then we deep dive. That also, I'm hearing a lot of people going like, that's the piece, that's the one that everybody wants, all of this. So, fair enough. This feels very stereotypical Chanel. These sorts of looks, I was like, I'm not entirely sure where we're going here. Sort of Little House on the Prairie, I feel like she should have a sort of muslin-lined wicker basket with a bread loaf in it. I don't really know. And then there was this that also, like, excellent pinstripe suit, very sort of 80s gangster New York, right. But again, also feels slightly costumey. There's nothing right or wrong with that. This, like, David Bowie moment with the hair of the model, but then you also have all of these dogs. For the dog lovers amongst us, maybe this is pulling at your heartstrings. This is the set that you will want to ask your essay about. But again, I want to say, like, although we have these very sort of evening-y pieces, you've then got a pairing of, like, a sweater with a tweed skirt, and the way that the model is carrying the jacket on top of the bag. She's on the way to work. She's got a client meeting. She's taking the subway so that she can get there faster. Are these the eyes of a cartoon zebra? They feel as though they are. I don't know where I know this zebra from, but I do know of him. Apparently, this is inspired by Tony the Tiger of Kellogg's. And I think that that was something that was maybe a core part of Matthieu Blazy's childhood. Unclear. This is obviously the look that Margaret Qualley wore in the teaser and the trailer for this collection. Okay, so you're kind of like understanding where we're going with this. Okay, flappers, 1920s, amongst lots of other things. Apparently this is also Spider-Man inspired, and wasn't he around the streets of New York? I don't know my superheroes. All right, so I know Batman. Maybe the Batman bit is the cat on the hat. We have something that you wouldn't be surprised if you saw on a celebrity on a red carpet. I want to talk about this trench later on. Okay, because I think that that is a great trench. I thought this was a fun little look. Okay, we've got to see through this thing. We've got something that looks like you're about to go to a piano recital, right? I don't know why that was the last look. It was the most underwhelming for me, but whatever. Why is there this big sort of like focus on Hollywood, especially when it's New York and all of that? Right, so apparently the reference here is that Gabrielle Chanel stopped in New York on the way to LA to dress Gloria Swanson for the film Tonight or Never. Keep that in mind. And so this is sort of a linking of that. That is why on the two-piece that looks like it has some pattern that we couldn't quite reference, that is the movie poster for Tonight or Never. And on top of that, there's the black leather jacket also has Chanel Picture Presents Tonight or Never. So that's that reference. And I think some of these things, like, you just need this, like, a bit of context to sort of like put it together, right? And then you can sort of go, okay, yeah, I still hate it. Or actually, this makes me like it even more or whatever, okay? On some of the shoes, specifically on the one that's like an orange Dalmatian print with a white toe cap, it doesn't just say Chanel on the inside, it says Massaro Paris. Who is Massaro Paris? Paris, even. This is a French bootmaker that started in 1894. Now, they have been making made-to-measure shoes for the likes of celebrities like Elizabeth Taylor and whatever over the years. And if you look on their website, you'll see these like contrasting toe cap sling bags. Oh, looks very similar to what we know of Chanel footwear, right? So, back in 1957, Gabrielle Chanel went there to develop the sling bag. Okay, and the two brands have been collaborating ever since. And Massaro was actually bought by Chanel back in 2002. So Massaro has been making these shoes for Chanel ever since. I do find it very interesting. Why now is it on some of the shoes? Why now are they sort of highlighting this, especially since they own the brand? Interesting. Obviously, Matthieu Blazy in his first collection has sort of highlighted a collaboration with Charvet, the shirt maker. So I wonder if this is something that's going to be like a running integration of his throughout his collections. When it comes to the shoes, I'm struggling with the shoes a lot. They just all seem to be like the slingbacks, and I'm like, okay, what else is there? And there is a pair that have, obviously, it's New York, it's the Big Apple, the heel goes through a little apple and it's got a CC on it. Very cute. This is not the first time we've seen this. Louis Vuitton for Takashi Murakami did the cherry heels amongst like Loewe and the cracked egg. Like this is, but this does feel very novelty for Chanel. And there's a lot of novelty in this collection. The bags are a very interesting mix because there are a lot of very practical, grab and go, you know, not all that exciting bags. It's like a quilted rectangle, zip across the top, executive style shoulder bag for, you know, going around town, whatever. So there's a lot of those. There are then a lot of complete opposite end of the spectrums, Minaudiers, novelty, some really interesting novelty that I'm going to get into. Like I said, Vogue Runway has robbed us of the detailed images, so I am literally having to like go through Instagram posts. Fine. Right, so this bag is quite interesting. Again, it feels very novelty because you have these little characters, okay? And even if you look at the trailer for the show, it was a cartoon. And we're seeing this cartoon come a lot into things. We're seeing this cartoon of Coco Chanel herself walking her dog and whatever. There is something that feels a little bit Disney-ish about it. I'm not sure if I'm particularly a fan of these like little enamel characters on the bags, but I like the concept. I don't necessarily love that there's just like a little Coco Chanel stick person as part of the zip, but I like the fact that they've done it. I'm very sort of confused about it. It's a simple sort of bag style, but it's a nice one. If you sort of look at the side of the bag, you'll see that it has the CCs on the strap. I like that you see something from the side and you see something from both angles of this bag. And I like that these sort of charms are attached to the zips. Interesting. I've not seen anything like that from Chanel in a very long time. This is excellent. This is a 3-tiered, fringed Chanel classic flap that's then got a poodle beaded into the beading. It's exceptional. It's an exceptional piece. It's very interesting. It's a collector's piece. This is a price upon request. So, you know, the rest of us can only hope to be in the same room of this bag to just see it exists. But it is very, very cool. These are the sorts of bags I'm talking about when I'm talking about these sort of executive style, easy, grab and go, inoffensive. You know, it's not getting the heart beating, but it's doing a good job. This is... I don't love this sort of like chevron quilting that they're doing. They've done it for the Christmas collection and I didn't love it then, and I'm not entirely sure I love it in this now. And you have these sort of granny-ish little frame bags that I don't hate. Again, I sort of like this little sort of Chanel at the top there. You have the cup holder. This is the thing that my mum was like, I think I'm going to get the cup holder. I was like, okay. It's a ceramic cup with a little silicone lid. I wonder how much they'll charge for it. 1,100 maybe? Anyway, I don't know why that was the thing that came out of my mind. I thought this was brilliant. I thought this was very, very well executed. It's a Chanel classic flap, obviously it's a collector's, whatever. Now my theory was like, oh, Central Park Zoo, Bronx Zoo, is that the zebra thing? I also then thought of the film Madagascar. Also because the giraffe takes the subway in that anyway. I thought this was really, really brilliant. I was like, who the hell thought of that? That's great. This seems to be very thin, and it's canvas lined, which makes me think that this is going to be very thin. It's going to be very, like, slouchy. Why did that take me forever to get there? And on a bag this big, and when you've got thin straps like that, I don't know. I think that's a hurt waiting to happen. Sydney the squirrel. I've named him for us, okay? I'm sorry, this is so stupid, it's brilliant. Don't be surprised that I think something like this is... it's very good. It's very, like, look at his little arms. It's so ridiculous, but it's so very well done. Look at the fact that his tail crawls up the I can't. This is an interesting one. I also think that there are a lot of charms from this collection that will be sold separately. So I think like this like Chrysler charm is going to be done separately. This is like a little top handle. It's got an interior sort of divider or pocket there that's got a CC that opens it. I think this is very interesting. I like the difference in textures. Again, it feels very different from what we currently see at Chanel. I also think that this leopard XXL tote is great. Yes. This, whilst fun and a sensory experience, will again be price upon request. Also, you know what? Let me not even talk about the prices of these. We have no idea. We have no idea, so what's the point? Again, you have that tonight or never referencing in this sequined bag. Okay, he's only done 2 collections, but this is the first time we're seeing his interpretations of Chanel 25 bags. This is the most popular bag from Chanel this year. They also released it this year. And this is, again, I can see this flying off. It's leopard print, it's pony hair, and it's a Chanel 25. Yeah. The Minot Diaz include a peanut. Here we have another version of a Chanel 25, but you can see those charms added on. Okay, of Coco and the dog. We have the apple Minot Diaz. It's beautiful. Is that also a little worm, a crystallized worm eating into it? There is also this sort of, again, they're doing this triangular shape, aren't they, with a lot of the bags? That's interesting. I need to sort of pinpoint this on a model so that I can see how I feel about it, but it's almost like a flap within a bag that's then got this almost boy bag trim around it. I think this is also a bum bag, and you have that double turn lock, which I believe they used to do a lot in like vintage pieces. I think that's interesting that they brought that back, but also, is it doing anything crazy? Not really. But does it have to be doing something crazy, Cassie? You know? Okay. You've obviously got this like Chanel tote at the back. It exists, yes. This though, I think that this classic flap is, I like some elements and I really dislike another bit. I really like the Chanel charms coming down the strap. I think that's great. I think it's very cool. It's going to give a little chime as you walk. Fantastic. The CC itself also has the same sort of embellishments as the Chanel charms. Fantastic. That pebbled leather I'm not a fan of. I don't like the way it looks on it. I don't love that aspect. But then again, these are things you've got to touch, you've got to see in person, all of that. The shoes are very sort of like vintage looking, 1950s, 1960s sorts of looking, very square toe, which I'm not a fan of. Very sort of looks like you would wear if you were a rockette or any sort of dancer on a stage. That looks like a jazz shoe. I thought that these were very interesting because of the heel, and it looks like the top of the Chrysler building. I like that detail, okay? And part of this, very Art Deco, a part of this is like, do I like the collection or do I just like that it's about New York? So I also have to fight with that internally. You also have these like boots that again are sort of superhero-y, wouldn't we say? I much preferred this last show to the first one. Much preferred it. Now, and there's a difference between I like it and I want it. I do like the whole sort of song and dance about it. I liked the way that it was done in the subway. I liked that he did all of these different characters. It felt very theatrical, felt sort of costumey, which some people will like and some people will really not like. And so I think there are elements of its like really, really noveltiness that made it feel like Carl. And I think that's really like, obviously, that's sort of my favourite era of Chanel. There are elements of this that I'm like, okay, didn't like that outfit, didn't like this, whatever. And I think what we're really all sort of like struggling with Chanel specifically, and actually with a lot of other brands, it's sort of a wider conversation of, when I talk to people about Chanel, fashion people or like, you know, journalists and whatever, love Matthieu Blazy's Chanel. If I talk to people that buy, and fair enough, like, I don't know personally any like Chanel VICs who are dropping like hundreds of thousands a year. But from people that I know that buy Chanel, they're like, I don't know if I love this because this doesn't feel like the Chanel that I want. It reminds me of like Maria Grazia for Dior, because sort of, if you would talk to like fashion critics, or, you know, I wouldn't say I'm a fashion critic, but I would be like, yeah, we're sort of like bored of this, we're tired of it. That woman made absolute bank for Dior. That woman was absolutely raking it in. And the VICs for Dior loved Maria Grazia. And that was making the money, because sometimes it's not about what is like, oh my gosh, so theatrical and beautiful on the runway and whatever, and it's about what am I wearing in my daily life. And that also makes me feel like Virginie's Chanel. Listen, everybody was like, oh, it's boring, it's tired, whatever. Yeah, but again, she did really well for them. The VICs were really liking it. It was jeans, it was commercial pieces, which I think Matthieu Blazy is doing, but in a very different way. He's doing very commercial to wearable. Like, we're seeing jeans, but the jeans don't have like logo, they don't have anything that like Virginie's jeans had, you know, like there was some sort of pattern or whatever. It's just like a pair of jeans and maybe it has a CC stitched in at the back. You're seeing quarter zips that has a very subtle CC at the back of the neck there. So I'm like, is it too wearable? Is it almost too commercial and too wearable to the point that there's like very little differentiating factor? Or you then have theatre, and you have a full look, and you have a beautiful tulip skirt and all of that, right? And there will be people who love that and will buy it. Both ends of that spectrum. There are people that will buy the wearable stuff, and you'll have people that are like, I just want an event. With all of these brands, the things that sell are the bags. The bags are very wearable. That 25 in the leopard print is going to do very well. It's going to be interesting to see how the new bag styles perform. Also the shoes. I don't love the shoes, but I don't love a slingback cap toe Chanel. I can appreciate it, but it's not for me, okay? So I'm sort of like, when people are like, do you love it? I loved watching the collection. I thought that it was like so beautiful to watch. I'm not there to be spending Chanel Métiers d'Art money on a ready-to-wear look, on a ready-to-wear piece even, right? At most, I'm buying a bag. The bags that I would buy from this are price upon request, and I'm all right. There are none of these sort of like more wearable bags that I'm like, oh, I want. Whereas in his first collection, like I really like that teal croc one. I mean, what are you thinking about it? Let me know how you felt about this collection, how you felt about it compared to the first one. Do you want anything? Do you want to buy anything? Let me know. I'm going to leave a link to another video over here in case you haven't already seen it. Have an amazing morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And in the words of my father,
if you've enjoyed it, tell your friends. If you haven't, keep your mouth shut.
I'll see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye, guys.